Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we have a somewhat large book haul. Let's see, okay. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 books here. Ones that I am so excited about. I feel like this is a really good haul. So before I get into the book haul, I want to thank Book of the Month for sponsoring this video and sending me a copy of The Change by Kirsten Miller. This is one of the add-ons that they have this month, and they wanted to shine a special spotlight on it. So in case you're unaware of what Book of the Month is, it is an online book service for readers, and they curate a selection of books every month. You're able to find new books. They also include add-on books that you can add on for an additional price. So like I said, one of the add-ons for this month is The Change, and this book sounds so amazing. I can't believe I'd never heard of this before. I'm so glad that Book of the Month sent this to me. The little pitch that Book of the Month has for this book on their website says, when 3 women suddenly get spooky powers, they do what must be done to solve crime and exact revenge on the patriarchy. Excuse me? This follows 3 women who are in their 40s and 50s, and they're all sort of experiencing like negative changes in their life. Alongside that, they're also getting these very bizarre new powers, and those powers lead them to discovering the body of this teenage girl, and the police don't seem to really care about what happened to her, so the 3 women decide to take it upon themselves to figure out what is going on in this town. This sounds so good. Like, it sort of is giving me practical magic vibes, but like darker. So definitely put this book on your radar, add it on to your Book of the Month box. And like always, you can use the link that I have in my description and my code Riley to get your first box for $9.99. And thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. So I will start with the used books. Not as big of a pile this time as normally, but we do have a little stack here of used books. The first one that I have here is Sinner by Sierra Simone. This is the sequel to Priest, which I read so long ago, and I still have not continued in the series, despite the fact that I really enjoyed Priest and I love Sierra Simone. And I've actually heard, I think that people prefer this book to Priest, and this one follows a nun, I'm pretty sure, which like, I'm unsure if I've ever read a nun romance, but I've really been wanting to continue in this series. So excited that I found that. This next one I kind of bought on a whim, and that is Tears of Tess by Pepper Winters. Pepper Winters is a dark romance author that I've wanted to read for a long time, but I just never have. And my best friend Lainey, I asked her if this was a good book, and she said that she's read it multiple times, which I'm like, interesting. That must mean that it's good. But I believe it is like a captor-captive romance. It says, I was sold, kidnapped, drugged, stolen. So I don't know. I'm curious to try Pepper Winters, see if she's for me. The next one is one that has been recommended to me so many times, and I'm very excited to read it, and that is Vibe by Liza James. So this is a sapphic dark romance. Why have I not already read this? I don't know anything about the plot. Here's the thing with all of these like dark romances, the synopsis tells you nothing. Like, let me just read you this. This wasn't the life I was meant to live. No matter what the cost or what I had to give up, no matter what they made me do. Their little wallflower, that's who I am. Until I met the one person who changed all of it and became something more. She's my filthiest secret, and one I intend on taking to the grave. Like, what does that mean? I don't know. And all dark romances are like that. My life was complete, happy, content, everything, neat and perfect. Then it all changed. Like, what does that mean? I am not a good man, and I've never pretended to be. I hate first person synopsises. But anyways, I'm very excited to read that. I don't know that I've read a sapphic dark romance, but it is something that I've always wanted, and I really hope this one does not let me down. Then we have one that I remember a lot of people were putting on their favorites of 2021 list, and that is The Charm Offensive by Allison Cochran. And this, I believe, is about a dating show. So it's a male-male romance, and one of the heroes is the producer of this dating show, and the other one is the star of the current season, and it sounds really good. I am such a big like Bachelor fan, so I love romances about dating shows. They're just so interesting to me, so I'm very excited for that, and I have heard really good things. The next one, also totally bought on a whim, and that is The Corset by Laura Purcell. I believe that this is a UK edition, and that in the US it has a different cover and a different title, but the reason I got this is because the little tagline on the front says, victim or villain, mad or a murderer. So this is a historical book. It says Dorothea and Ruth, prison visitor and prisoner, powerful and powerless. Dorothea is going into a prison to interview this girl who is a convicted murderer. And yeah, I don't know, this just sounds like something I'm really going to enjoy. I've not heard anybody talk about this, but it sounds great. And then the last used book that I have here is A Far Wilder Magic by Alison Saft. This is a YA fantasy. It's a tender love story set against a deadly hunt in an atmospheric, rich fantasy world that will sweep you away. So it is about this hunt where people are trying to hunt down this mythical creature. And it says whoever is able to kill it will earn fame and riches and unlock an ancient magical secret. The main character, Margaret, is the best sharpshooter, but she has to work in a pair with an alchemist. And so the guy, he is not a full alchemist yet. He was fired from his apprenticeship and they reluctantly team up together. I don't know, it sounds really cool, and a lot of people have also recommended this to me. Whenever I see a book that is being recommended to me a lot, I write it down and then keep my eye out for a copy. Okay, so now for some of the books that were sent to me. I actually got a couple gifts from my wish list, which was such a nice surprise. So this first one is Gifting Me to His Best Friend by Katie Robert. This is from Esty, and I'm so excited to read this. Listen, since this book has come out, I feel like a couple Christmases have gone by and I keep saying I'm gonna read this and then I don't, and I'm like, okay, now I have to wait till the next Christmas. But this is, I believe, second book in this Touch of Taboo series. I read every other book. I love all of them. And this one I think is a menage. So I'm very excited to add that to my Katie Robert collection. And then I got two books from Lukia, and I'm so excited to read both of them. So Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey, which is the companion to It Happened One Summer, which I love, and I've been dying to read this one. So this one is a best friend's romance, if I recall. Yeah, it says a former player who accidentally falls for his best friend while trying to help her land a different man. So excited. And then the other one that Lukia sent me is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, which is a sapphic romance, and I am so excited to read this one. I've read some of Ashley Herring Blake's YA books, but I believe this is her first adult, and this is about a girl named Delilah who is going back to her hometown to be the photographer at her stepsister's wedding, and there she runs into one of her stepsister's best friends, Claire, and it says they're forced together during the gauntlet of wedding preparation. They're pushing each other's buttons and getting under each other's skin. Sounds so good. I'm so excited to read both of those. So thank you for sending me these gifts. Such an amazing surprise. Okay, then I have 4 books that were sent to me from publishers. So the first one, I don't remember who sent this to me, but it is Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding, which is a sapphic romance. And it says, Devon and Chris have 6 weeks to plan their dream wedding. Their whole relationship is fake. This is also a dating show. So it's a show called Instant I Do, and all they have to do is convince their friends and family they're getting married in 6 weeks. If anyone guesses they're not for real, they're out. Selling their chemistry on camera is surprisingly easy, and it's still there when no one is watching. But each week of competition brings new challenges, and soon the prize money is not the only thing at stake. Very excited. Like I said before, I love dating show romances. This next one I'd never heard of, but it sounds amazing, and it was sent to me from, I also don't know. But it is The Book of Gothel by Mary McMine, and this says, everyone knows the story of Rapunzel in the tower, but do you know the story of the witch who put her there? So it's a story about Mother Gothel. It says it's in the vein of Spinning Silver. It's a dark, lush, and beautiful historical reimagining of Rapunzel told from the witch's perspective, a story of motherhood, magic, and the stories we pass down to our children. It sounds great. Then I was sent a copy of The Stand-In by Lily Chu, which I've been very intrigued by this book because I think the cover is so cute. I think it's the colors. This is the color scheme that I have in a lot of my apartment, so I'm very drawn to it. But the back says, how to upend your life. Get fired by gross handsy boss, fail to do laundry again, be mistaken for famous Chinese actress, fall headfirst into glitzy new world. It's about a girl who shares a very striking resemblance with a famous actress, and this actress asks her to stand in for her. It very much is like giving me Monte Carlo vibe. If you guys have seen that movie with Selena Gomez and Leighton Meester, I love that movie so much, and this really is like that plot. Or also, what's that other movie? The Christmas movie with Vanessa Hudgens. The Princess something? I don't remember, but also that one. So this sounds really cute. And then the last one, I have already read. I read this book years ago, and that is A Promise of Fire by Amanda Bochette. This is a fantasy romance. I think that this was one of the first adult fantasy romances that I read, and it's still one of my favorites. And the series got a cover makeover. You can see all of the new covers right there. But yeah, this is such a great fantasy romance series. It's following this girl who is a clairvoyant, so she can tell when anyone is lying, and because that is a very sought after skill, she is taken captive by this warlord. The way that he captures her is by tethering her to him with this magical rope that can't be broken, and they have to travel across the country tied together with this rope. And it's so good. I loved it so much. All right, and then this last stack are all of the new books that I've purchased. So I'll start, a few of these I've already read and talked about endlessly. So the first one I have is The Never King by Nikki St. Croix. I've read this, and now I've read the sequel. These are dark, reverse harem, Peter Pan romances, and they are just so fun and entertaining. And I, like, as soon as I start reading them, I can't stop until I'm done. And I'm addicted. And then the other two that I have already read are Praise and Eyes on Me by Sarah Kate. These books are my new obsession. They're both 5 stars. I love these. So Sarah Kate is definitely becoming a new favorite romance author. So the first one is ex-boyfriend's dad romance, where her and her boyfriend have already broken up and they moved out of their apartment and broke the lease. So she has to go to his dad to collect their security deposit, but she's never met him before. So when she shows up to his house, he mistakes her for his new secretary, and that starts him off on a very interesting note. He also owns a very sex positive sex club where people go to explore their kinks, and so that's kind of what the series is revolving around, is this sex club called the Salations Players Club. So that leads us into book 2, which is following his best friend, who is another owner in the club, and he is a voyeur. And so one day he's just, you know, browsing cam girls, and he clicks into a show and realizes that it is his stepsister. So yeah, this one I feel like is way more taboo than this book, but I loved both of them so much. I cannot wait for book 3. The next one I have is Lotus by Jennifer Hartman. I am so excited to read this book. You guys know, still beating all-time favorite romance, so I need to read more of Jennifer Hartman's books, and this was the next one that sounded the most interesting to me. So this follows a guy who was abducted when he was like 5 or 6, when he was really little, and then he finally, 22 years later, escapes and is trying to figure out life in this new world where everything is so different from when he went into the bunker, and he has a romance with his childhood best friend. It sounds amazing. I cannot wait to read it. Then I have Famine by Laura Thalassa. This is the 3rd book in the Four Horsemen series, which is a post-apocalyptic fantasy romance series about the 4 horsemen who come down to end humanity. I read Pestilence and War, which are the first 2 books, and I really loved them, and so many people have either told me that Famine is their favorite from the series or that it is their least favorite. I feel like it might be my favorite, just based on what I've heard about it, so I cannot wait to read that one. The next one is The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. This is her monster romance. Also very excited to read. So this is about a girl who is trying to get out of a marriage from this terrifying man. So she strikes up a deal with a demon, freedom from her husband in return for 7 years of service. She expects the service to be backbreaking and harsh. She doesn't expect to be put on an auction block in a room full of literal monsters and sold to the highest bidder. A lot of people have asked me to do a reading vlog with this book, so definitely let me know if that's something that you're interested in. I probably wouldn't do a vlog just of this book. I would read a couple things, maybe a couple monster romances. That could be a fun time. The next one is A Treacherous Trade by Kerrigan Byrne. This is the 2nd book in the Fiona Mahoney Fiona Mahoney mystery series. I read book 1 a couple months ago and I loved it, so I'm very excited to read book 2. So this is about a girl who has a job of cleaning up crime scenes. A while back, her best friend was one of Jack the Ripper's victims, and ever since then she has had an obsession with Jack the Ripper and catching him. She has caught the eye of Mr. Jack himself, and she's trying to figure out who he is. It seems like he's somebody in her life, and yeah, book 1 was really great. There was sort of hints to potential romances, so I'm hoping that that is developed more in this book. The next one that I have here is The Atlas 6 by Wait, I'm realizing I've never heard anybody say this name out loud. Y'all have to tell me, is it Olivia? Is it Olive? This is a dark academia, fantasy, secret society, magic. I'm just saying words at this point. There's this place called the Alexandrian Society. The chosen will secure a life of power and prestige beyond their wildest dreams. Each of the 6 newest recruits has their reasons for accepting the society's elusive invitation. They will fight tooth and nail for the right to join the ranks of the Alexandrians, even if it means they won't all survive the year. This is on my TBR for this month, and I'm so excited to read it. I have the audiobook, which I didn't realize is full cast, so I'm very excited to listen to that. I feel like the audiobook is going to be really great. And then the last book that I have here actually came today, and I bought this book so fast when I found out what it's about. So that is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I read my first fantasy from T. Kingfisher this month, and I absolutely loved it. There is a reading vlog coming soon. I just haven't edited it yet. This sounds so amazing. Okay, let me just read you the back. So it says, Hala is a housekeeper who has suddenly inherited her great uncle's estate, and unfortunately his relatives. Sarkis is an immortal swordsman trapped in a prison of enchanted steel. When Hala draws the sword that imprisons him, Sarkis finds himself attempting to defend his new wielder against everything from bandits and roving inquisitors to her own in-laws, and the sword itself may prove to be the greatest threat of all. So, this is about a girl who finds this like ancient sword, and what she doesn't realize is that there is this immortal guy trapped in the sword, and when she wields it, it unleashes him like a genie, and now he is like determined to protect her from everything. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to read this. So those were all of the books that I have gotten recently. Definitely let me know out of all of these if there's any books that you are particularly interested in hearing more about, in me reading, doing vlogs for. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!